Good evening, everybody. We are here with another live emergency update of the Coastal Cast Live. I am Andrew Houston with Myrtle Beach Aware, and we are excited to bring you some more information here tonight regarding tomorrow night and Wednesday's winter storm here in Myrtle Beach. So, before we begin here, we kind of want to recap on what has transpired up until this moment. And it all stems back to this Arctic air mass that continues to build across the area, resulting in long duration event of abnormally cold temperatures. So, the cold temperatures are setting the stage for any moisture that comes in associated with a low pressure system currently in the Gulf of America. And that is going to eventually work its way across Florida and up just off the coast of South Carolina and bring with it some moisture that's going to mix with these very cold temperatures and produce snow for the Myrtle Beach area. So obviously, we want to make sure people are preparing for the cold weather by making sure your pets are safe, pipes and plants are protected, your heating systems are maintained and ready for the cold air. If you don't have your heating and air conditioning systems maintained by now, you're probably a little too late. So the cold temps are here and only getting colder as we progress through the week. Given the dominance of the Arctic air mass, the bulk of moisture is going to remain off the coast, which will limit the amount of wintry precipitation across the northeast South Carolina and southeast North Carolina. Doesn't mean we're not going to get anything, okay? It means that as we look at some of these models, I'm going to show you kind of an image of what that representation means. Why is the moisture being off the coast a little bit more? Well, that's by the influence of high pressure. Okay, so we have a high pressure system up over the Ohio Valley that is forcing a lot of that dry air down into our area, keeping this moisture off the coast a little bit further. Now, some of the models suggest that that high pressure doesn't infiltrate too far or as far as they originally thought into our area. However, we're still going to be introducing enough dry air to keep accumulating precipitation a little bit lower than what was originally anticipated. We still will probably see some accumulation. However, amounts are a lot less than what models were previously showing. So there's also a slight chance that another storm system could bring some wintry precipitation to the area Thursday and Thursday night, but it's way too early to even determine specific amounts or impacts if there's going to be any. So recent model runs aren't showing too much as far as precipitation Thursday into Thursday night, but we are still watching for that chance for some wintry precipitation. So timing, everybody. So timing is something that I've been working on very, very hard over the past couple of days, really trying to narrow this down. Okay, so most likely the timing is going to be anywhere from 4 to 8 p.m. on Tuesday, tomorrow, and the greatest impacts being from 8 p.m. through the 3 a.m., 4 a.m. time frame. Precipitation will be out of here by morning 7 a.m., 8 a.m. So the precipitation, this is going to move very, very quick. So we're talking about, a 12 hours or less period where this storm system is going to work through, bringing us a little bit of snowfall. We will get into snowfall amounts here in a little bit, but we can definitely expect at least at minimum a dusting of snow. What impacts does that bring? Okay, so hazardous driving conditions, very low risk for downed trees, limbs, or power lines, things like that. But as far as what the impacts are, we are looking, low impact, okay? So impact levels Tuesday night and evening, overnight, and into the morning Wednesday, we're looking at that moderate impact, mostly to travel. Hopefully the fact that this storm is coming through the overnight hours, it'll be less people traveling on the roadways, making it a little bit safer. The chance for sleet and snow, obviously, in the overnight hours, and then which we're looking at a moderate impact there. And cold is we're talking about the snow, but really the cold is the culprit of all of this. Okay, and that's something that we don't want to dismiss. I know we're super excited to see how much snow Myrtle Beach can get, but we also don't want to forget about the cold and the wind chills. So Tuesday night into Wednesday, moderate impact with the cold. Wednesday afternoon, minor. Thursday or Wednesday night into Thursday morning, we're looking at another moderate impact as those temps are going to plunge pretty cold for us. And we'll take a look at those temps here in a little bit. But we're going to dive right on in here. We're going to be looking, let's take a peek at that timing of the system. This is tomorrow at 1 p.m. By 4 p.m., you can see the futurecast here. This is based on the GFS model. Once it starts showing that snow working its way in, by 7 p.m., the entire area is covered. We do see, which is interesting, this little bit of sleet and freezing rain that wants to kind of mix in here right along the coast. Not so sure that that's actually going to happen, but it is putting that in the risk there on our futurecast. By 10 p.m., still snow. Some of it may be heavy at times here in Myrtle Beach. We've got some pretty decent moderate to heavy snow at that point. Out into Florence, still pretty moderate to heavy snow bands working through. So we'll keep an eye on that. Eventually here tomorrow, I will do one more emergency update in the afternoon. And then after that, we're on to chase mode. So chase mode will be activated tomorrow into the evening, and we will switch at that point to radar and kind of chase based on the radar here. So let's move through here. Let me turn that off, and we're going to go through 1 a.m. Still a little bit of snow here along the coast in Myrtle Beach. Florence is out of it. There's a little bit of light, looks to be light precipitation out in towards Columbia, Florence. Wants to even show a little bit of rain. So this is just futurecast down near Charleston. We're looking at that sleet rain mix there. There is a little bit of a warm nose that kind of pokes itself in here. Not sure where that's coming from, but we can take a look at the upper level air and temperatures there as well. But I'm not too generally concerned about that. The chances of that sleet along the coast is there. But for the most part, I think we're going to be looking at virtually all snow here. We may see some very short periods of sleet or freezing rain towards the overnight hours into the early morning. However, the only risk that's going to do is take down some of those accumulation numbers as well. So as we move through to 4 a.m., still showing a little bit of snow here in the Myrtle Beach area. And eventually by 10 o'clock, everything is completely out of here. Let's move forward and just peek at what the futurecast is showing for that Thursday potential. If anything, you're looking here, Wilmington might see a little bit of wintry weather. I'm not seeing anything for the Myrtle Beach area Thursday. You do see this little bit of what looks like wants to kind of mix up here near the Jacksonville area. A little bit of snow up in that area. But as far as here in Myrtle Beach, I'm going to say no impacts there from any kind of winter weather on Thursday. Our next rainmaker coming in on the 27th. Looks like scattered showers at that point, a little bit of heavier rain here on the 28th. So as far as Thursday goes, I'm not seeing any kind of wintry impacts here, but we will keep looking at the models to kind of determine what we feel is going to be best for a forecast for that day. So we'll also be watching that. Not quite as heavy as we've been watching this, but we will definitely keep an eye on Thursday as well. So let's switch over here to the models. This is going to be the latest run of the GFS. I'm going to show you. We're going to zoom in here a little bit on this as well, but I wanted to show you where the storm system is currently, and we're looking development here in the Gulf of America, working its way across and eventually across Florida and into the Atlantic very, very rapidly. So we're talking, less than 24 hours from now, this storm is going to be out here over the Atlantic. So moving very, very quickly, looking at some moderate accumulations in portions of Texas and Louisiana up into Mississippi as well. Looks like that freezing is going to really have a hard cut towards the middle of Louisiana. Originally, before, we were looking at up into the northern parts of Mississippi, receiving some snowfall, but that's looking less and less here as we go through. So it looks like the center of low pressure is going to want to hang out a little bit further south in the Gulf of America and work its way up and around. I keep calling this the Gulf of America just because of the events that occurred today. We're going to probably see that name change here relatively soon on all the maps here in the United States. So get used to that. Anyway, so let's kind of scroll through this here just so we can kind of see how this is going to lay out. Now, this is one model run. This is the GFS. You can see that center of low pressure eventually forms here and brings very heavy snow amounts to portions of Louisiana. New Orleans looking to maybe set a record for snowfall as well, and quickly works its way through over towards Florida and across into the Atlantic. And so we're looking, this right here is going to be Wednesday. So let's go Tuesday evening. This is where I suspect the start of the weather to begin here. This is going to be that 4 to 7 time frame for that start of the precipitation here within the South Carolina area, and eventually very heavy snow here along the coast by 7 o'clock. And working through, you can see here the GFS wants to show that transition there to some freezing precipitation, and we'll be able to see that a little bit better as we zoom in here, and then eventually works its way off the coast by 7 a.m. on Wednesday and out of here. Now, as far as precipitation here on this, we can look through Thursday and into Friday, and I'm not seeing any kind of frozen or freezing precipitation here on this particular model. Now let's take a dive in here. We're going to pull up the GFS for the Southeast, and we will run through that with the precipitation type here. So here you can see this is Tuesday, tomorrow, during the daytime hours. And then eventually here by 18Z, there's a 21Z. That is going to be 4 o'clock. The GFS has South Carolina pretty much covered in snow at that point by 4 o'clock. As we run out here to 7 o'clock, you can see here down near Charleston where the GFS on our Futurecast wanted to show a little bit of that freezing precipitation mixing in. So far here on the GFS in Myrtle Beach, all snow. This is pretty heavy snow at this point by 7 p.m. on Wednesday or Tuesday, sorry. And eventually here, as we work through the early morning hours, still at 7 a.m., the GFS wants to show a little bit of precipitation here, a little bit of snow, still very light snow at that point, probably flurries to end the system. And then by a little after 7, 8, 9, the system is pretty much out of here at that point. Again, looking at moving into Thursday, into Friday, nothing here as far as frozen precipitation. I think the National Weather Service wants to watch portions north of Wilmington for that frozen precipitation at that time. So Thursday, I think we're in the clear there. No more extra frozen precipitation there. But again, I will keep a close eye on that. Now, before I get into what my projections are and what my forecast is, we're going to take a peek at a couple more models here. So we're going to look at, we're going to go ahead and look at the Euro. I don't have the 18Z Euro, but I do have the 12Z. So we'll take a look at what the 12Z Euro was showing. And then there's a reason why I'm not showing accumulation for the GFS yet. I think the GFS was drinking a little bit of gin and juice here today, but we will take a peek at that here in a little bit. But looking at the 12Z model run, I'm going to zoom this in so we can see the southeast a little bit better. So kind of going for timing here on the Euro, we are again looking at that 7 p.m. Now the Euro does want to show a little bit of mix of some freezing rain and sleet here towards 7 p.m. Eventually switching to all snow, but moving rapidly across. And that rapid movement of this system is going to lead to lesser accumulation along, portions of the upstate and portions of like Florence, Marion, Mullins, and even into portions of western Horry County, limiting a lot of that accumulation right here just on the coast. And you'll see that reflected on the actual accumulation chart. But again, we're talking about timing here. So by 7 a.m., completely out of here. Let's see if the Euro wants to bring anything and wrap anything around here for us as far as precipitation into Friday, Thursday, Friday, nothing. So not looking at anything as of right now for precipitation Thursday into Friday. I think if anything, that precipitation is going to be more northerly up here into North Carolina along the coast, just north of Wilmington. And you got Jacksonville, those areas up in there. That looks to have the most high risk there for some additional frozen precipitation. So I apologize here. I'm looking at some comments. What does the red mean? The red is frozen, like freezing rain, sleet. So any more chance for more snow? So there's a lot of factors that are kind of playing a role in this. And over the last couple days, I show this a lot. I've been keeping track of model after model after model just written down. I write every little bit of information down just so I can easily flip through my notebook and compare. So as far as snow accumulations go, the chance for more snow, models are kind of back and forth on that. So we'll go over that on that GFS run. There's a huge difference. There's a big gap on the GFS between accumulations. So the Euro has been staying pretty much solid on accumulations, fluctuating just slightly here and there. But the GFS kind of all over the place. So it really depends on how much of an influence the high pressure system has on this system. And when I say the high pressure system, we can kind of zoom back out here and we'll go national, and I'll walk you through where we're seeing that high pressure. Okay, so we'll come. So the high pressure sitting here over the Ohio Valley area. Okay, so what we're looking at is the influence of that high pressure pushing down and bringing in a lot of dry air with it. This is a very powerful high pressure system. This is Canadian high pressure pushing that cold air into our area, number one. And so what we're looking at is a week ago, we weren't looking at this high pressure system to really push a lot of dry air. And we knew the cold was going to be coming, but we didn't know how far down that cold was going to infiltrate. So the further down that cold infiltrated, the further down that high pressure system comes. And with that high pressure system, more dry air pumps into the area. So what we're keeping an eye on right now over the next 24 hours from now is where that high pressure system, the center of that high pressure, wants to sit and how much influence it wants to have on the dry air, eventually pushing that moisture and keeping that moisture offshore. The less of an influence that high pressure has on the dry air and the less of a push that high pressure has on our area, the greater the chance of more moisture being introduced into the system and making its way in through the Grand Strand, causing the potential for more precipitation, more accumulation. So you're going to hear over the next 24 hours, everybody talking about that. They're going to give you a forecast of, a dusting to an inch or 1 to 2 inches or 2 to 4 inches. Those are forecasts that you hear on a normal basis. Okay. And that fluctuation comes mainly in this storm here because of that influence of high pressure. So the models are coming together on this high pressure, but we're not 100% certain at this point how much influence it's going to have. We're pretty close and confident where we're sitting now, but we're not 100% sure. And you can never really be 100% sure when you're forecasting accumulations for a winter storm. So if that makes any sense to you guys, I really hope it does. So right now, we can kind of get into accumulations. Okay, so let's look at, since we're already on this Euro model, we'll go ahead and we'll pull up accumulations for that 12Z Euro run. And we'll take this out to, we'll just run this out. I'm going to take it back a little bit. We're going to go to 36. So we're going to run this out to, we'll go to Wednesday afternoon. Okay, so, or sorry, Wednesday morning, go to Wednesday afternoon. Okay, so by Wednesday afternoon, and let's zoom this in so you guys can get a little bit closer picture of where Myrtle Beach is on the map. So here is the 12Z Euro, and this is looking here 2 to 3 inches, depending on where you're at along the Grand Strand. As you work your way inland, you get there's less and less chances, and by the time you're out towards the Florence area, you're looking at dusting to an inch. And the further west you are, probably just that trace to a dusting of snow at that point. Now, this is the Euro model, the 18Z. I don't have access to yet. It's still downloading here for me, but we'll take a peek at that, and I'll do a post on that here a little bit later as I can analyze that information. So when we talk about the GFS, we'll go ahead and we'll pull up the GFS here for accumulation on the most recent run. So that's going to be the 18Z, and we'll pull up snow accumulation, and we'll run this out to Thursday. And as you can see here, the GFS is super crazy. And when we looked at the model, you saw that when I pointed out that really high, heavy amount of snow, that's where a lot of this accumulation is coming from. But the GFS is showing for the Myrtle Beach area, 7.5 inches to 8 inches. When you work your way out western, that dusting to an inch. And then the Carolina Forest area, it's super crazy amounts. And we can pull up radar here. So let me pull up the radar, and we'll pull up snow. We'll pull up snowfall, and we'll run that through as soon as it loads here. And we'll zoom in. We'll bring that in real tight and close to Myrtle Beach here. So here you can see this. I'm going to go through. So this is out to the 23rd at 7 p.m. You can see 7. GFS wants to call 7 inches, 5.5 inches, 4.5 inches. Carolina Forest 7 inches. Down along the coast 7 inches. Johnsonville 4. Out to Loris 4.5. Marion even looking at 1.5 inches. Florence looking at a little over 1/2 inch. Up into the Little River area 4.5. Garden City 5, Georgetown 6.2. So everything right along the coast, and as you kind of go a little bit further inland, those numbers want to drop. So is the GFS kind of the outlier? I believe so. But if you take a peek back over here at the Euro, we're there's a big difference here between, let's go back to the Euro. There's a big difference here. I mean, we're still looking 3 inches, 2 inches, so the current models are trending a little bit more than what we were trending earlier. And I think a lot of that's going to be isolated to certain areas. So really my prediction as far as snowfall accumulations is going to be anywhere between that dusting to 2 inches along the coast, and that 2 inches is probably going to be isolated to certain areas. When we talk about, let's bring up the Euro on the radar here as far as snowfall goes, and we'll evaluate that here. We'll bring up snowfall. Doesn't want to give me that on here right now. That's probably because this is still loading for me here for the 18Z. So let's see if the NAM wants to give anything. We'll load this up real quick. I'll run this out to just to the 23rd. So this is what the NAM wants to trend kind of with the GFS here. So putting, 5 inches here, a little bit around Carolina Forest area. As you get out towards Johnsonville, 2.6 inches, Marion, 2 inches, even out to Florence, looking around 2 inches, Loris, 3.8, up into Little River area, Longs, 2 inches, down Garden City, Georgetown, a little bit less at a little less than 1.5 inches. So a lot of discrepancy here between total snowfall amounts as we kind of move through the evening tonight. And you're going to see that, like I said, a dusting to 2 inches, 2 inches probably being isolated to certain areas. As you get a little bit further west towards the Marion, Florence area, I'm looking in my forecast at a trace to a dusting out there, maybe 1 inch, 1/2 inch to 1 inch in isolated areas. But really, the main amount of that snowfall is going to be here along the coast in these coastal areas. But we're going to keep a close eye on that. Like I said, I will do another emergency broadcast tomorrow afternoon. Before we get into the thick of things, we'll look at the final models before snow is anticipated to fall. And we'll come up with a final forecast and see where we're at there. Winter weather is extremely hard to pinpoint accumulations. We can understand the timing. We can understand the strength of the storm. However, the accumulations are really, really hard to pinpoint, but we can give you a range of what we're looking at. So things we're going to keep an eye on is the moisture, the amount of moisture that's being drawn into this system or allowed to be drawn into this cold air and the accumulation. So we can take a peek here at surface. We'll look at dew points here on the GFS. You can see dew points are showing 15. Let's run this out to Tuesday evening. Oh, it wants to load for me now. Let's go back here. So here's Tuesday. So this is showing definitely an uptick in the amount of moisture here. The dew points here at 23 degrees right along the coast. So that's probably where the GFS is picking up a little bit more of that moisture to produce a little bit more of that accumulation. So let's bring it up on the Euro. We'll look at the current 12Z. Look at dew points here. So the Euro, they've kind of flip-flopped too, because the Euro was kind of showing a little bit more precipitation or a little more moisture. Here, dew points 22 on the Euro, a little bit less than the 1 degree less than the GFS was showing. So a little bit more moisture potential there, but not a ton of moisture potential even through the rest of the week out to Friday. So we're going to keep an eye on the pressures or the dew points here and the temperatures. Let's just take a peek at temperatures throughout the storm. So if we go Tuesday evening, this will be 7 p.m. Temperatures right at 30 along the coast, down into the 20s in through most of the day on Wednesday, and eventually reaching 30 at by 4 p.m. on Wednesday, finally reaching 30. So upper level temperatures. Like I said, there was that that warm nose that kind of wants to sneak in here around Georgetown. I don't really see that on the surface temps. We do see this is 21Z, so 37 degrees moving into, so right as the snow wants to start working in, you are looking at 38 down near Georgetown, still 35 degrees here, but quickly dropping by 7 p.m. down into the 30s. But still, you can see that warm nose here, still 33 degrees down in Charleston. So that's where we're looking at some of that freezing sleet, freezing rain potential there around Georgetown. But Myrtle Beach looks to be, temperatures are right for snow. So I think at that point, any moisture coming into Myrtle Beach is going to be in the form of snow. Accumulations, like I said, we will be falling back here tomorrow on our final determination of accumulation. Right now, the Euro wants to show that 3 inches here. I'm going with a dusting to 2 inches. Isolated 2 inches in certain areas. As you get more west into the Florence Marion area, looking at probably most likely a dusting to maybe a half an inch of snow at that point. But that's all based on how much influence that high pressure system wants to have on our area here. How much moisture is it going to allow in on the coast and kind of more inland as well. So at this point right now, we'll analyze again in the morning. I will be back tomorrow afternoon with another live emergency update, and we'll give you final numbers at that point. I am not one to just rush into giving total accumulations right off the bat. I want to see everything up until the last moment that we have. But right now, I can tell you, you can prepare for at least a dusting to 2 inches on the coast, inland, a dusting to a half an inch, maybe an inch in isolated areas. So prepare for that. Prepare for hazardous travel overnight hours tomorrow night. So if you don't have to be out, please don't be out and about. We will activate storm chase mode tomorrow early evening, and we'll keep you updated, eventually switching to radar and probably live streaming that radar throughout the evening tomorrow night and jumping in where needed. And so we will see you tomorrow afternoon. We want to thank you for joining us this evening. Your support means everything for this page to keep doing what we're doing. We greatly appreciate it. So please smash the like button, share, and comment. I will be happy to answer any questions after this feed and keep you guys informed and keep you guys aware. That's what we do here at Myrtle Beach Aware. So please like, comment, and share. And I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon, probably around noon to 1 o'clock, somewhere around there. And we will be back with another emergency update then. Thank you and enjoy your evening.